I did. My other one went out right before my call on Thursday. Kind of crazy. So here I am. Why am I looking at the wrong? Oh, I see what it is. This is the wrong spot. This has to be here. Got it. Okay, good. Well, look, welcome to those of you on the call. I'm Bill Gross. This is our weekly real estate investing weekly Zoom call. And I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker here in Los Angeles, California. We do this every Tuesday at 3 p.m. in Los Angeles, Pacific time. And the goal here is to create a network of people who are either interested or active on a daily basis in real estate investing, from brand new, I want to get started, to serious superstar investor. I have a belief that one of the opportunities of the day at the time is that for new people, in my experience, there has never been a better time to get started in real estate investing than right now. There's more opportunity than any time in my career since 1986, and there's more money than any time in my career. Number one. Number two, I would say that there is more opportunity for older, established, experienced people, translation old like me, to benefit by helping teach the young people by working together. I really believe the opportunity of the day is about working with other people, being of service, and helping other people. My first coach and mentor was Zig Ziglar. He used to say, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And so my premise in real estate investing is it's about helping other people, whether it be other investors, prospective investors, helping homeowners get what they want and need. Might be cash, might be solving a problem quickly that otherwise they're struggling with. So that's the purpose of the call that we have here. And I'm based in Southern California, but increasingly we're attracting people all across the country who want to learn how to invest and how to build wealth as well as income for the families. I think in America today, we have kind of two populations. One that's making a lot of money and has a lot of money to invest, and another group that has extra time on their hands. Maybe they lost their job or downsized or working from home. And so the goal here is for us to work together and leverage our resources, those that want to work. I'd like to just start with one quick message, if I can, which is this. I've spent the last week looking at some different programs, Grant Cardone's 10X Con starting now, a couple others. And one of the things I want to say, in any program, like anything in life, the value comes to the person who puts in the consistent effort, high quality effort over time. There are a lot of real estate investment programs that people buy, come across, are introduced to, a lot of seminars. Just come to my seminar and you'll learn everything you need to make a six-figure income. I've never seen such a seminar. What I have seen are seminars that describe a process by which, if you put a good effort in on a regular basis over time, you can achieve financial freedom and wealth and all those good things. So the purpose of this call is, if you're looking for the get rich quick, how to make $1 million by not knowing anything, this isn't the right spot. But if you're looking for people who are like you, willing to put the time, effort, and energy into creating value for other people and looking for ways to create real value in the economy to make money and wealth, I think this is the place. And I've done it with people on this call. I've made money, I've done business, closed deals with people who are here today, and other people have been here in the past. So that's my premise. The other thing I want to offer you is, if you ever have a property that is available for sale, if it's a wholesale deal that you've tied up, it should be off the market unless you know some special information. If you have any property that's tied up that you want to wholesale and see if you can find somebody else, or you have a property you're having problems with, maybe you're trying to get it tied up and can't close it, or need financing, or have some sort of problem, this is the place to bring the problem to. We have some very experienced experts who can help you be successful and close that first deal. So, wow, a lot of friends on the call today. Dr. Ed Berlinski, how are you doing? Looking sharp today. You applying for a new job, or are you getting married?
Well, I always take my lead from the people that I respect the most, and I can never forget how, again, you used to attend the Sizzler meetings and you were always dressed to kill, Bill. And since those years now, I think it's been a year and a half or more, look what you've done. You've exploded. You've grown yourself. You've expanded, very much like Paul Krauss has done as well. And again, I just am taking my tips from you, Bill.
Wow, thank you. Well, I will say I met Ed and Peggy on this call, and Paul, a couple other people. A year ago, pre-COVID, we used to go to a weekly meeting in Van Nuys at the Sizzler. And for me, I would go to court every day in the morning as a probate-based real estate agent. I would go to court, and then I would, for me, I live in West LA, so it's kind of a triangle. I went to downtown, and I left there about 10:30 to get to the Sizzler, and I was already in a suit and tie in court. Unlike most realtors who show up in court in a polo shirt or a dress shirt, I wanted to get business from attorneys. So one of my keys was to look like attorneys. So those days I wore white dress shirts, dark suits, silk tie. I carried a briefcase like the attorneys have. I'm older, I have gray hair. And so naturally people looked at me like I was an attorney. That was part of the way to get along with them. Nowadays during COVID, like today, I had swim practice, came back, been on the phone all day long. I forgot even to shave. So I had to quickly shave and clean up a little bit and put on a dress shirt for this call to be presentable. But I do think it's important that we put our best foot forward when we meet with clients. So thank you, Ed, for reminding me of my own discipline on that. It's been harder, obviously, during COVID where we see less people, but you're looking sharp today. Thank you. Any message you want to share with people here about real estate investing?
Yeah, I would, Bill. And again, I've told this to Bill personally, and I would say it to the group in general, and that is, Bill, I believe that your Zoom, certainly in the region or in the greater LA area, is, in my humble opinion, head and shoulders above any of the other Zooms that I participate in from time to time. Again, I know Paul Krauss, I know yourself. You had a young man by the name of Carlos on here last week, and Carlos had something he thought was good, and I don't think that Paul would mind my sharing this, but I told him I didn't think I could finance it myself. I'm a hard money lender, but I said, well, if you call this gentleman Paul Krauss, and if he is in the deal, I am in the deal, because I have such a respect for Paul and what he's done. And now that I know him, that even a stranger can walk up to me and get a deal done if, for instance, he feels he can share the profits with Paul, who I know has the in-depth experience of doing hundreds of fix and flips over the years. So that kind of thing really is a benefit, Bill. It works.
Well, thanks for the compliment. Thanks for coupling Paul. He's become a good friend to me as well. And I would say that increasingly, I think in a world that's becoming more anonymous and more impersonal, the value of personal relationships is greater than ever. And if you really know somebody who is of high quality, and the distinction between average and great, the value you get is so much better. Remember, Tony Robbins said recently, there's a principle called the Pareto Principle, that 20% of the people do 80% of the work. The top 20% of salespeople get 80% of the results. He said that's not true anymore. Now it's the top 5% get 95% of the results. So you look at wealth in America, the top 5%, the top 1% control more than ever before. And so for all of us, it's an opportunity, rather than try to be a generalist, to really focus in on an area that we're specialists in and share that gift with people and find those who value that and work with them. And Paul's a specialist in remodeling and in a particular area of remodeling that I don't really have an eye for. I would never pretend to give advice in that area. I had a client that I referred to him myself not too long ago. So there's a case in point where I think we feel like if we focus in on something, we're going to lose the other business. But the opposite true. When we focus in, we go deeper in that area, and then we also get some peripheral business. So good. Paul, do you have any rebuttal to Dr. Ed's compliment?
No, I appreciate the compliment, Ed. Thanks so much. And Bill, and no, Bill, I think I agree with Ed that, you're hosting these shows, and these networking groups are connecting people in a way now that I think I shared with you. Just by taking some of your advice about, generally marketing more than anything else, like just trying to reach and connect people. Cause like what you said, people are they've become so much more disconnected because of COVID and everything that's gone on over the past year. It's going to be that anniversary is coming up real soon. And I think your advice that, hey, marketing is super important right now and connecting with people is super important. I've generated business from it. I brought in new clients. Bought a multifamily deal last year outside of the state, which was with a partner that even a year before we weren't even thinking that way. And I just think that things are moving quick now, and I love whenever I can be on them. I love your group because and to me it doesn't matter if you're doing probate or if you're doing investors right now or if you're doing EXP Realty, because to me what's happening is connecting people with all three is what's happening in our business. I mean, look at the number of people, for example, that have maybe had a construction or a background like that and have decided, they're going to connect with someone who's connected to EXP and want to take advantage of a platform like that, which is all online. So I see a lot of things converging in a really interesting way, and it seems to be happening very, very fast. So I'm just glad that you had given me that advice. I'm glad we all connected up at Sizzler because I know you say you don't remember, but I do. And, you left that kind of impression. Like, I remember that guy being just like, he had something good to say. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, thanks. I do think it is about convergence for all of us in real estate. And for too many, I think they get into these programs and think all they need to do is mail postcards, or all I have to do is send out a text blast. And nothing wrong. I do both of those things. But I converge those with phone calls and the Zoom meetings and a website and email. I think the convergence, the combination of the multiple angles of attack in marketing, because people have a different way they respond to things, number one. And I think two, again, is about connecting with people and bringing in experts that can help you, close something and do something right away. I'll show you guys today. I had an interesting experience with a couple of realtors who called me on a deal. Again, in my area of expertise being real probate, and husband-wife team, and they wanted to bid on a probate property, and they were under the mistaken impression that a probate that was scheduled in March was going to happen this week, and they're a little hesitant to bring me in because they would see me as a competitor. And I said, "Hey, I promise I'm not going to bid on anything this week on that day. I had something else already lined up." And I dug a little deeper and found out, well, no, the day was wrong. It's not being auctioned off this week. And I try to explain to them that, this is my area of expertise, not meaning I get paid just because I play in this playpen, but I understand the game on this field better than you do. And if you want to split the deal, I can help increase your odds of winning. And this isn't just a property they want to invest in. This is property they want to buy to live in, bring their family in. And it's just funny how sometimes people just can't see it. They were nice enough to say, we made a little bet on something. I said, well, if I'm right, I want you to pay $100 my favorite charity. And I was right. So they're paying $100 my favorite charity, which I like that too. But I'd rather help them get the house. And I think that's where the expertise comes in. Sometimes people are hesitant to pay a little more for an expert versus getting average. As realtors, we're under attack at average. Zillow is going to put the average agent out of business. Redfin is going to put the average agent out of business. The better than average, the experts are going to always command some sort of a fee or value. Same with investors. The average investor, the average investor doesn't make money. You have to really have an area that you focus in on, that you participate in at a higher level to be successful. So feel free to put your contact info in the chat box, and feel free to, if you have a service related, feel free to promote it here on this call at the end. In the meantime, anybody, one of my goals of this call is for people who are actually working on deals or questions, maybe need somebody to bounce an idea off of, or a vendor, or need some help. Who might have a deal that may need some help on that we could help today? Anybody have any help? Raise your hand. And what I'll tell you is in everything in life, the more you participate, the more money you make. So if your camera's on, you're gonna make more money. If you raise your hand.
Bill, I have something if no one else is gonna go.
Go ahead.
So I came across with one of my partners, 3 more buildings, in addition to 3 buildings that we have under contract now in Chicago. And I'm at a point where we're talking like it's so many millions now to start buying all these deals that I pulled my partner aside and said, look, I think we're at a point where we just need to syndicate now, because when you start getting into $7 or $8 million investments, there's you're not usually finding one person who wants to lend on that kind of portfolio, like one individual, right? And I see, how aggressive. I mean, we've got like 7 guys looking in Chicago for us. So I guess my question is who do you know, or who can help me here with the right, getting the right steps into place to try to take some of these deals down through syndication? Because like I said, I've got 3 under contract with a partner right now that, we're just finishing our inspections up. And there's literally like 3 more right around the corner for the same amount of money. We're talking like $7 million worth of multifamily buildings. And I just think it's too big for one loan, right? From one guy. So who can point me in the right direction, or who? Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
So a couple of answers to that. One is I would say I have a friend offline, I'll give you some contact info, who does specifically syndications. I think if you think about it logically, anytime you're doing anything, anytime as an investor, you're buying property multiples.
Yeah.
There are some deals that are good enough for you, and other deals are not quite good enough for you, that you can broker to other people or wholesale to other people. And so I think that in your case, you need to be adding to your Rolodex agents in that area, Chicago, and whether they be EXP agents or agents not with EXP that you help bring to the company is another way to monetize that as a longer term business. On our calls, Annabelle Pacheco, she hosts a call on Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific, specifically on multifamily investing out of state. She's done it herself. I don't think she's a syndicator yet, but I believe she'd like to get into that as part of her business. I think she's working with a couple as well. So Annabelle might be a good contact for you. Then afterwards, offline, I have another guy that I'll pass on to you who's a syndicator specifically. And then anybody else in the call know anybody that would be a good contact for Paul as far as raising money in the syndication type format? Peggy with the pretty flowers behind her. So I don't know, Peggy, Paul, you guys have each other's info?
Yeah, I have Paul's info.
Yeah.
There you go. And if you make a deal with Peggy, ask for some of the flowers as a throw in on the deal. She always has pretty flowers behind her.
Myself.
But I'm saying if I do a deal with you, Peg, the deal breaker is going to be I want some flowers because I like pretty flowers. So just know
Great.
that's
I
cool.
have lots of them. The
Apparently.
irises are beautiful right now.
Apparently, very nice.
Thank
so
you.
Good. Besides you being a pretty flower, you always have pretty flowers.
Oh,
behind you.
you're so sweet.
Good. Does that help a little bit, Paul? Give you a couple options to work with?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. This is the first time I've even considered it. But see, this is what happens. Like, good luck happens when you're aggressively going after things, right? And just when you're trying to, and when we put these first 3 under contract, we weren't really positive how we were going to pay for it, but that didn't matter. It was more about, is it going to be a great deal? Because if it's a great deal, then the money's just going to be there. So
If it's a great deal, true or false, everybody on this phone call, if it's a great deal, there'll be money there, true or false?
So they say,
Always. Either I'll finance it or I'll find somebody who will. If it's that good a deal.
thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Always.
That's just a rule in this business right now. There's so much money. The biggest I've been listening to CNBC the last few days about the economy, trying to understand what's happening with interest rates and long-term rates. Are we at a turning point, or is it just a blip? Where are we regarding the United States deficit? We're at a couple critical junctures in uncharted territory. But the thing that how do I put this? We're in uncharted territory, but what everybody agrees on is there's more money around than anybody knows what to do with. As if that's a problem. There's more cash. There's so much cash, people inventing Bitcoin to store cash because cash just isn't good enough. There's like more cash and we had plenty of cash, and then the government now just passed $1.9 trillion of more cash. And so there's plenty of money around if you can use it productively. Now, if you risk it and use it unproductively, you can lose it all. So it is important to be smart about it. But there's more cash than any time in my career by a mile. Okay, good. So look, we now financed for Paul a syndication worth $7 million. One thing I asked Paul is I don't ask for a referral fee. All I ask is come back to the call and share your success with us so you can encourage the next person, okay?
You got it. We'll do.
And that goes for you too, Peggy. If you put a deal together with him, bring back and share the success. Who else has a challenge or problem or opportunity you want to share with the group that we can all work on together? And again, I just remind you, the more you participate, the more money you make. I'll take Melissa and then Sandra.
Hi, everybody. Melissa with Real Property Management. I wanted to bring this to the table. I thought it was quite interesting. It is 1661 Delama Boulevard in Torrance. It's a fourplex. It's one bed, one bath. I've just been watching this property. It's the listing agent didn't really mention anything except for great rental rates. So to me, what I'm sniffing is that somebody's not paying or they're under market for what the cost is. Maybe it's an opportunity for somebody, as we've talked about before, there's no magic wand necessarily that you can wave and get rid of a tenant that you don't want there in rental control, which it does say in the ad, there is rental control. So I just thought it was interesting. I did look at that. I'm like, oh, somebody might look at that and think it's great. Hey, they just decreased the price by $50,000. Who knows how low they're willing to go? So that might be a good opportunity for somebody who is looking for a multiplex, that you can maybe do some magic with.
One more time, the address is
1661 Delama Boulevard. And I'll put it in the chat as well too. And that's Torrance, and I believe that's a 90501 area code.
Got it.
Price?
You know what? Where did I put the price on here? I have a bunch of crazy notes on my sheet because I always like to make sure I have a bunch of stuff for you guys. So give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it in my notes.
So
$700,000 right now is what they listed it at.
90501. It's just off of Western Delamo.
Yeah. And they didn't really put that many photos. Obviously, there's tenants occupying the unit. Torrance is all of South Bay at this time is kind of becoming a little untouchable with rent, like buying. It's going up and up and up. So it might be a good opportunity. It might not be. I just thought I'd bring that. There's a couple other sad properties I'll put in the chat that you guys can take a look at. Non-op vehicles, that's my favorite thing, to bring you chipped paint, overgrown lawns, and you can see what you could do with it.
Melissa has a little nose for opportunities here, guys. So I would take a look at that. If that,
Melissa, I would look at that, especially if she has a good car. Yeah, I would love little chip paint. I'm all about that.
Hey, I see them all the time, and I just take a picture with my phone. That's how I get the address, because I'm doing real estate driving. And then I pull it up on there. So of course I'll share those with the group.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Melissa. Okay, and Sandra, you had your hand up.
Hello, everyone. I think I had spoken with you, Bill, about this property previously, and had spoken with a potential partner about it, which he passed on. However, this is a probate property. So just in general, it's going on the market this week. I spoke with the owner previously. She decided to go with an agent. And the property itself is about 20,000 square feet, the lot. And it has a 700 square foot building on it, which would need to be torn down, from my understanding from her. I have driven by it, but my question is centered around the wholesaling. If not if, but in terms of the bid to the agent, when there is a property such as this, it involves probate, it involves tearing down and then selling to a developer, because the property being as large as it is, there could probably be several homes built on it. I've seen comparables as far as homes already established nearby, but what factors in terms of submitting a bid would you say are vitally important in this case?
Well, I mean, I'm not a developer, but I have clients who are, and I would say you look at the property, it sounds like as land,
Mhm.
and you can subtract from it the cost to make it into a vacant lot. So if you have to knock down and remove a structure, that's part of the cost. Or if there's trees that may or may not be removable, that becomes a cost or a limit. And so you end up with your land costs. In my experience, developers really focus in geographically in one area where they really know the cost of land where they want to build. They don't know off the top of their head what the value is. And so each market area is different. But then the developer is going to figure the cost to develop, both the hard costs, the building, the wood, the concrete, and the soft costs, the drawings, the plans, the carrying costs, the interest and such. And then they need to have a reasonable profit or unreasonable profit to make at the end, to make it worth their time and effort. So you really need to talk to a developer. Did you say where the property was? What area?
It's in Los Angeles County.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big county. So, different developers would be interested in some areas and not in others. So you have to really focus in on somebody who would like that particular neighborhood or subsection and shop it to developers in that area. In general, you can go online, and I think in most areas, like I had a client who found a piece of property they owned in Pacoima, and it was a vacant lot. You might say, well, there's no vacant lots in Pacoima. Well, oddly enough, there are a couple that are
Yes, there are.
sold. So you can go online and pull up, I can as an agent pull up comparable sales for vacant lots in many areas and find a couple lots have sold and try to compare it that way. So I would say look at the lots, and then
Go right ahead.
I say, but the other flip side is the developers are going to have a budget in mind of what they're willing to pay for it. So that's the other number you have to look at.
Yeah, I did take a look at comparables, and the fact that it has a tear down, and I know there's obviously costs involved to take that away, but I don't know if in terms of the comparables, the properties can go anywhere from $600,000 to upwards of $1 million, depending on the property.
Mhm.
However, it is at the end of one of those funky like easement driveways.
Right.
There's a long driveway, which she's paying tax on. It's in San Gabriel Valley. And at the end is this large property. Now, comparables surrounding it, again, 600 to upwards of $1 million. So it will be dependent at the end game on those. It will be comparable, I should say, to those. But on the front side, in terms of the bid process, it would be about 400 plus as far as if it were a single family, which it's not. So, just all the other factors is the question in terms of, this type of bid, especially because it is a probate. I think it's a little different. Not that affects pricing, but, the tear down and everything else, of course, does. So this being the first probate, I've kind of not known where to go with it, but okay, good to know.
Well, so this is a case where you're not the listing agent. You just know of it being available on the market. And I would say in general, I don't really play much with those because, they're going to go in the market. They're going to get, unless you know something about the property. Now, developers, sometimes they miss these kinds of properties because it's a little different. They might not be looking at probate, and I kind of can talk them through that process. So, I'd be glad to work with you on it. If you get the case, get the property address, I can look it up and tell the case number and tell the actual status. It always amazes me how the real estate agent's answers to basic questions on probate are at least right half the time if it's a yes/no question. That was a joke. They often don't really understand the process at all. And so, as a real estate agent or salesperson, information is power, information is money. So the more information you have out, the more valuable you can be to your prospect.
Right.
Okay.
And I did contact her and speak with her a few times prior to her listing, but she had already spoken with somebody that had actually gone out and made an offer to her. They lowballed, and she just felt that that person wasn't all on the up and up with her. So she decided, prior to my speaking with her, to go with an agent. I spoke with her several times, and her son influenced her on the agent going that route. So
Okay.
it is what it is, but
Yeah,
nevertheless.
take a look at it.
Quick comment, Bill,
appreciate it.
just a brief comment.
Sure, Dr. Ed.
And that is, when you're looking at comparables, it sounds to me, based on the way you describe this, that it's on what's called a flag lot, meaning there's a driveway and this property is in back of another property. And therefore, when you're looking at comps, you want to make sure that the houses that you're looking at are not on the street, if you will, with frontage, because yours is not on the street with frontage, and that would basically usually generate a serious discount. So you just want to be careful about those comps.
Okay. Great. I appreciate that information.
Yeah, it's probably some kind of easement that's already been worked in so that, okay, everyone has to share this part of it. But what Ed said is so true. And the other thing too is that maybe the city, maybe in terms of what they'll allow to be built there, is something that's smaller because they have a higher green requirement. Certain cities now want a certain green requirement, or they have a parking requirement because they have such bad parking options that they're saying they want more parking options to be available. So, like I would probably be even talking to the city and saying, look, I'm thinking about buying this piece of property, but here's some considerations, and just talk to the person in planning and say, what are you guys requiring these days in terms of parking, in terms of green requirements, in terms of, usable square footage for a lot that's like this. And they're going to want to know, well, is it elevated on a hill? Is it flat? Because all those things are going to be factors into then what you can do with it as someone who's going to go in there and create something new with it. So, I mean, there's literally a myriad. So the planning department is like, I think, one of the best places to even start, because what Ed said is totally true. I found that to be absolutely true.
Yeah, that's good to know. The property itself is the largest on that easement. There's 3 parcels prior to the 4th, which is theirs. And she does pay the taxes, as I said, on the driveway. And in front of it, there's a single family, 1 empty lot. And then in front is a home where they built up ADUs. So nevertheless, it's good to know in terms of being the last property on the lot as far as its value.
Did you say it's an empty lot?
No, there isn't.
There's a structure there. There's an improvement there.
It's a 700 square foot structure. So, I think it's pretty much a room and a bathroom type of situation, separate garage, but it was built in like early 1900s. So you can see it's pretty much in a tear down condition.
Yeah. And then what is Public Works going to want in terms of connecting to sewer? If you do all that work way up there, because if you go put a 4,000 square foot house up there that used to be 700, then maybe like they have some new sewer requirement, and maybe now you're talking about expanded driveway. There's so many things that go into it. It's not even just the building department. It could be potentially the public works, which is going to have everything to do with the street and how you tie into sewer. So it could be that the guys who are developers up there, they know that myriad of things to deal with, and that's why they're offering such a small amount of money, because they're saying, man, this is gonna be such a gob of money just to get it to code as of today. Clay, you know, maybe it's clay lines that you're gonna have to turn into PVC that, you know, stretches forever. That costs a lot of money. And the way you dredge and the way you you know, cut into the earth these days. And, you know, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a person who was doing a fix and flip out in Westminster, or yeah, it was Westminster, and the guy was in a ditch and they were doing an add-on pool, and he got buried alive because the shoring wall gave way and it killed him. And you know, so the cities are being really careful about, you know, all these things now, that that maybe that's why they're lowballing this particular seller. It's because they know that those restrictions on building and construction are what they are. So.
And it could still be on septic, and there is a recycle septic system available. And you'd have to check with the city to see if they would allow that recyclable system put in if it's not connected to sewer.
Again, I think all these are reasons why you'd want to look for a local developer who's interested in that particular lot, because, you know, they know the answers to those questions typically in certain cities. And in my experience, if you're going to invest that kind of money, you have to have some experience with that city, especially now. These cities are all every city is just trying to get revenue any way they can, for a variety of reasons. Though I don't know if that changed here this week, but anyhow, overall, the cities are very much focused on squeezing everybody they can for fees. And I think in general, making it difficult to develop. So you want to find people who know how to develop already, rather than trying to teach somebody who doesn't. That'd be a tough way to go. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good. We'll give you some things to work on, Sandra. Good job. Okay. Who else has a question, challenge, problem? Feel free to raise your hand or put in the chat box or whatever is appropriate. Anybody else? Yes, I see the last name Schwartz. I can't see the first name. I'm sorry. Tony. How you doing, Tony? What's going on?
Hey, I've got I guess I'm just looking for some feedback. So we own currently 2 rental properties in Florida. We just got a purchase agreement accepted on a third one, but this is one that in about 3 or 4 years, we're going to move into and make our permanent residence.
Nice. Where?
Punta Gorda.
Nice.
And so the question I've got right now is how to finance this thing. So I can either purchase this one under the LLC that I own the other 2, and I can sell one of those properties and do a tax 1031 into that for the down payment. Or I can take an equity loan out against the 2 that I have and keep both of those properties and then literally finance 100% of this new property, but I'm gonna have a higher monthly payment. We'll be VRBOing it out to hopefully, we're pretty confident we'll be able to at least make the payments. Or I can take the loan on this property in my personal name, get a 30-year fixed rate on it. I can still own it under the LLC, so I'm covered if something happens, if I rent it out and take the deductions as a rental property, but I can't do the tax deferred exchange. So what we're thinking of doing is actually selling one of our other properties, paying the depreciation recapture and the gains on that property, and then putting it into this one. So I guess I'm looking for feedback. If you guys were in that situation, any suggestions on how you would finance that, or what would you think would be the best way to do it?
How long is it going to be before you expect to actually move into the property yourself?
It will be approximately 3 years in June. From this June, it'll be 3 years from then.
Do you see yourself continuing to acquire more property over time, or are you looking to retire a bit and just hold on what you have? Or you
no, we'll keep acquiring more properties. The other thing is my partner and myself are licensed. I'm in Minnesota. We're both from Minnesota, but we're both licensed in Florida. So we are like 2 weeks ago, we brought 2 people down there and they got into purchase agreements. So we're going to kind of be using this property as an office per se to bring people down and help sell them real estate and stuff too.
Have fun.
To answer your question, we will continue to, if deals come up, to purchase more properties in Florida.
I have a suggestion for you, and that is, I would, if I were in your shoes, I would call a fellow by the name of Bill Exeter. And Bill is an accommodator. He works out of San Diego, and he has done literally thousands of 1031 exchanges, including 1031 exchanges that allow a person to acquire a property, rent it out for 2 years, and then basically move into it themselves. I would call him and just explain the details of your situation. And my guess is he will be able to find, if not a total solution, be able to mitigate your problems. He's unbelievable, and he's very, very accessible. He will be on the phone with you or one of his people as long as it takes for you to understand the best thing for you to do.
That's great, Ed. How do you spell his last name?
His last name is, and again, his last name is Exeter, and the name of his firm is Exeter Exchange. And again, he generates a 1031 exchange booklet. It's a 26-page booklet that you can get for free by just going to my website. I'll just plug it in, give you a plug for it. The website is SFR2NNN. And if you go to my website, there's a big button there, and you just click on the button, and that thing will download this 26-page booklet to you that explains all the details of 1031 exchanging.
Great, that's helpful.
Nice.
Very helpful.
Nice.
Can you repeat that website, please?
It's SFR, as in single family residence, 2, the number 2, NNN.com.
Thank you.
I want to share with you guys kind of an insight I had to the real estate market. I've been in this business since 1986. And we really are in a historic period. And I want to show you what interest rates look like. When I got into business, they just passed from 10 point something down below 10. And it was like the biggest thing that ever happened in the world. And since then, they've just come down steadily, down, down, down. They actually came down a couple of weeks ago, we were down to 2.75 on a 30-year fixed rate. And now it's back up to 3.02. Now, the question is this rise the beginning of a new trend up? Question mark. Or is this a blip on a continued trend down towards zero? Or have we kind of hit have we hit the plateau? Don't know the answer to that. But I think that one thing you might want to factor into any equation, particularly when you talk about retirement and investment property, is the opportunity to lock in historic rates. The opportunity to lock in, because if we're trading off, we've gotten lazy in real estate today on the risk of an adjustable mortgage or having to refinance. We don't really see that as a big factor. But I can tell you that back when mortgage rates were at 8 and 7%, equity lines were like at 13, 14, 15%. And they move really quick up. And so we have to be at least aware of those risks and aware of our historic perspective. I'm not saying, therefore, Tony, you should automatically lock everything in. I'm just saying, weigh that out in your discussions and weigh that out as you consider the risks and the possibilities. I do think it's real. I actually created a little video on the subject, and I'd like to hear in the chat box on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out.
Yeah, Bill, I appreciate that, and because that's my biggest concern with this particular deal is if I go in totally commercial, I have to do I'm going to be lucky if I get a 5-year fixed rate. It's going to be a higher rate, and who knows what it's going to end up being in 5 years. And if I'm planning on moving into that property, that's why I'm really leaning towards doing this lock of a 30-year mortgage on it. even if I can't do a 1031 exchange, which I'll certainly investigate, but even if I can't, that trade-off might be worth it.
Yeah, if you mention my name, and I'm not trying to be any kind of a, what should I say? Just mention you spoke with Ed Berlinski and he'll probably spend more time with you
Okay, I appreciate it, Ed.
Great.
because he gets hundreds of calls.
And Ed, he'll charge a few $1,000 more once he mentions your name, right?
Yeah, because he's got to give the referral fee back to Ed.
No, this is no referral fee. I
Yes,
get no
again.
referral fee.
This is a
Yes.
massive upsell. Tell the truth.
This is gratis. No.
It gets a
No,
$10 Starbucks card for every
Yeah, there you go.
$4,000 fee.
Yeah.
So
I get a
Bill's right.
latte.
Ed is right. Bill is great. Bill Exeter is great.
good. Okay, so we solved another problem. Who else has a real
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks for being on the call. Who else has a challenge, issue, or question we can help with today? There's no question too simple or too easy. Got some real experts here to help you. One question on my mind is, Anders, what is that background? Where are you? That's on mute. Okay.
No, I didn't find the unmute button. I'm
Okay.
in outside of Paso Robles, so that's the view out of my back patio there, and behind those hill is San Andreas Fault.
Oh, beautiful view. Beautiful sunset. Very nice.
Hi, Bill.
Okay.
I apologize for interjecting. I have Bill Exeter's telephone number here, just if you have a pencil handy. It's 619-602-9148.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack. And then yeah, Ed's working that $10 Starbucks card hard, man. Good job.
Good job.
Okay.
If this works out, I'm going to send him a $25 Starbucks card.
Very good.
I apologize.
Hi, Bill.
Joanna. Yes,
Yeah,
Joanna.
can I ask you a question? Yeah,
Please.
Yeah. A small question. My client is a landlord of a small standalone Burger King,
Mhm.
and they are looking for refinance. Is there any good option or anybody I can contact with? Right now, their rate is 4.85 with, I think it's 5 years. This is the second year, but since they say, the interest rate is so low, they're looking to see if they might be able to find a lower rate, because it's over $1 million, 1.1 million loan amount.
Sure. So is this your client owns a property that has a tenant on it as a Burger King? So it's a triple net lease
Yeah.
type property?
Yeah, it's an absolute triple net and still have a long-term lease. I think still have about more than 10 years.
Nice. Nice. I don't know a lot about Burger King's current financial condition. Historically, that would have been an A credit type borrower situation, but it's a franchise and each location, I guess, has its own response to COVID. So I'm not sure where they are. Given that 30-year fixed rate mortgages today are 3.02, 4.5 sounds a little high. I would say a little high a few weeks ago. Today, I'm not sure. And when markets move or uncertain, commercial and retail rates move more quickly than home mortgages. Home mortgages are guaranteed by the federal government. And so there's a certain amount of certainty that goes with them that does not go along with commercial and retail type financing. I know we have some financiers on the line here. Anybody here want to take a shot at a lowering an interest rate on a 4.58 triple net? That sounds pretty low to me.
4.85.
4.85.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody has any connections on that, feel free to pass on.
Yeah, because I do a little calculation, just half point that will reduce about more than 400 or 500 mortgage. That's a small money, but it's still, it add up though.
Sure, of course. No, it'd be good for them if they can get that. If they get down to 4%, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is that a Marcy Green question, Peggy? What do you think?
I have someone that's in the market every single day for loans just like that. If Joanne wanted to just call me and I could give her the contact information. He's very, very experienced and would be able to guide her.
There you go. Joanna, call
So
Dr.
I have
Igleski.
Edward, your telephone number.
It's in the chat, but
The
it's
chat.
818-224-0553. The gentleman's name is Brad Kraus, and I will give you his contact information.
Okay, I can text you first.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And if you get the loan together, Ed gets Starbucks
Give you,
cards.
give you a Starbucks card. You're going to have a lifetime.
I'm not going to say anything else.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate.
Thank you. I see hand raised. Mehdi has a hand up. Mehdi, how can we help you?
Yes, hi. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Looking into a land property in Temecula area for a client who's planning on retiring pretty soon. So as far as land with HOA, I'm kind of a rookie with land purchase. So just wanted to see if you have any, just kind of get a feedback from you on what I should be aware of as far as, when we're looking into HOA, land with HOA or not, or in general, just what we should be looking at, like what we should be cautious of, and just so I can add most value to, to this
I'll give
transaction.
feedback on that.
Go ahead.
Awesome.
Never invest in anything where anybody else can vote on your money. Quote unquote, Jimmy Napier. They will
Okay.
raise your rate whether you like it or not. I don't think it's ever worth going into HOA under any conditions. That's my opinion, and that's from Jimmy Napier.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know who Jimmy Napier is, but he was part of the Florida Six Pack, and he taught Invest in Debt. Great book, by the way, if you want to lend money.
Well, generally, as an investment property, HOAs generally don't work out. They almost always point you to an owner user, right? So if somebody says, I want to live in a certain community, right? When you're older people like to live in adult communities because they have facilities and such, they have HOAs. That's the price you pay for living there. And same with a business. Oftentimes businesses want to be in a certain area because there's some services for those kind of businesses, certain manufacturing centers, certain car sales areas. They get certain tax benefits and they share certain costs for the city in those areas. So as a general rule, anybody who's going to buy where there's an HOA is going to use that property for their own business or their own personal living situation, as opposed to an investor. Manny, what's your client looking to do in the property?
So the zoning that I've kind of encouraged them to look into is R5R, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And it's basically agricultural and residential mixed use. And the area is basically, most people, build these huge 3,000-4,000 square foot single family homes with, and the area is actually wine country. So a lot of people have grape, growing grape and, or avocados. So that's kind of what he has in mind as well. Like that RA5 zone, they don't allow manufactured homes. So it has a different feel to it compared to RR zone, which is rural residential. So that's what they have in mind.
Right. Yeah. And if you want to live in that area and there's certain benefits if you are of a mind to grow, produce wine in Rancho California or that area, then you have to kind of play along with those areas. There's certain benefits to being there. So again, that's not really an investor. That's more of a owner user situation. So I don't know. Any other input on, again, your question, I think, Mehdi, is the homeowner association, right? One of the things I also find is you can go in the MLS oftentimes and look at solds and cancels and expireds. And if you look through the remarks, find what agents said about the HOA as far as the cost You might see over time changes in the monthly payments, things like that might be available there.
I'm sorry, what was that? Could you repeat the source again?
In the MLS, you're an agent, right?
Yes.
So if you
Got it.
look in the multiple listing service, you might find a similar properties in the area where you can read about the HOA. They'll have either certain notes about the benefits of that HOA, or what the monthly cost was a year or 2 years ago. So I always find the MLS remarks to be a good source of research on HOAs over time.
That was great. Very helpful.
It's a-
Thank you so much again.
And sometimes they'll attach documents and things like that in MLS. So take a look at that. Good. I see Rebecca has a hand up, kind of. Hey, are you and Rebecca I used to work with?
Hi, Bill. Yes.
Been a long time, Rebecca.
Been a hot minute, hasn't it?
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Sorry, I was in the car driving and I wanted to get back to the house before I saw my face because hi, everybody. I wanted to comment just quickly on Medis because the house that I'm in right now is in Temecula and it's in an HOA and I sold it. It was my own property and I sold it last year. HOAs in Temecula are awful. They don't do anything. The neighborhood joke of agents is that basically, you get to choose the color of paint for the playground. So Temecula is different than any other place in Los Angeles or San Bernardino or Riverside County. So just be aware of that. This is a horse property, 5 acres, and we had a $585 HOA. It did nothing. They basically made sure the mailboxes didn't get knocked over.
Wow. You got mailboxes? Wow.
Well, yeah, because in horse property, we at 5 acres, the mail carrier is not going to deliver to your house.
Right.
It's the driveway. My driveway was 285 yards long.
Wow.
Lots of cement. So anyway,
Wow,
I just
that
wanted to comment.
feedback was awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you need a good, are you an agent?
I am, yes, and also a contractor.
Oh, fantastic. Where were you when I built this house? I needed you
I know, right? Where are you at right now?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in LA proper right now. And I do flips, remodels. I've done 52 houses all over LA, Temecula, Altadena, everywhere.
Rebecca, can't you vote the HOA out?
No, I didn't. We didn't know. There was no possible way I could have voted the HOA out. There's weird things going on with a single family house, large, maybe if it's a condo, but you cannot get out of it. And it's just every local agent I spoke to on the ground in Temecula basically said, you have to pay it. And it's just basically $500, $600, $700 going towards whatever they want it to. We had potholes on our street, like the size of, a tire. And they weren't really going to fix up the roads or anything. And they can dictate what fence color you paint. Like if I wanted to paint my fence black, I'd have to ask the HOA because most fences in Temecula are white, right?
So the roads are not public roads, they're all private roads?
No, I'm saying that my HOA money wasn't going towards fixing the roads. The roads was either the county or the city.
Is the HOA money supposed to go towards the roads?
No, but that's the joke, is that we're on these like backcountry, wine country, horse property roads, and they should be fixed by the city or the county. And Temecula is weird because if you're in the city, like you can't Airbnb, but if you're outside of the city limits, you can. There's a lot of different rules and regulations. So it all depends on the area. I am not a Temecula expert. I just happen to own this house and sell it last year. So I got really, a PhD in Temecula real estate in a year.
I used to do a lot in Temecula back when it was Rancho California in the late 80s, early 90s, when it was a brand new area. It's amazing to see how it's grown up. Hey guys, it's 4 o'clock. So I'm going to wrap up here because I have another call that I hosted at 4 o'clock. So we do this every Tuesday at 3 Pacific time. We also live stream this onto YouTube. And I'll send a link out afterwards if you've registered on either Eventbrite or Meetup. We'll send the link as well to the replay on YouTube if you're interested or you miss a call. Love to have you participate. Love to have you pitch a property. If you ever have one you want to put on here for free, it's if you have a problem property or you want to sell it, have something under contract, let's use this to all make some money together. So Rebecca, is that your daughter? I don't think you were married back when I knew you, was I? How old is she?
I'm still not married.
Uh-huh.
She's 4. Nope.
You didn't have
Single
her.
mom.
You didn't have her. Well, look, good for you. Nice to see
She
you
just
again.
said, don't.
Dr. Ed, thanks for participating, and Melissa, as always, and Peggy, and
Thank you,
Sandra,
everybody.
thank you for sharing. Tony, thank you for being on the call. Joanne, always nice to see you. You guys, thank you for participating, and we'll see you next week.